It all began on an ordinary evening, the kind of evening where the world feels heavy with silence. The air was still, the sky painted in shades of dying orange and crimson as the sun disappeared beyond the horizon. My house stood at the edge of a quiet neighborhood, and behind it stretched a backyard that led into a line of trees. For as long as I had lived there, I thought of that backyard as nothing more than a patch of grass and soil. But over time, it became clear that something else lived there, something that was waiting for me. At first, it was only little things. The motion sensor light would flick on even though nothing was moving outside. My dog, Milo, would whimper and scratch at the back door at odd hours of the night, staring into the darkness with wide, frightened eyes. I'd sometimes hear faint tapping on the window while I sat alone in the living room, but when I went outside to check, there was no one. Just silence. I told myself it was my imagination, that my mind was inventing shapes and noises. After all, I had been under a lot of stress. I was juggling work, late-night assignments, and an exhausting routine. But deep inside, I knew it wasn't stress. It was something else, something watching. The first night. It was around midnight when I first saw it. I had gone into the kitchen to grab a glass of water, and as I stood by the sink, I glanced outside through the window that overlooked the backyard. At first, I thought it was just the shadow of the tree moving, swaying unnaturally, but then the shadow shifted against the direction of the wind. Something was standing at the edge of my yard. It wasn't human, at least not completely. Its body was tall, hunched, with elongated limbs that stretched down to its knees. Its skin seemed darker than the night around it, as if the shadows themselves had formed into flesh. What struck me most were its eyes, two faint, glowing embers staring directly at me through the window. The glass slipped from my hand and shattered into the sink. When I looked again, it was gone. I barely slept that night. Every creak of the house, every brush of the wind against the walls felt like it was announcing the creature's presence. Signs in the backyard. The next morning, I convinced myself it was just exhaustion playing tricks. But when I stepped outside into the backyard, my heart sank. Right in the center of the lawn, the grass was burnt in a perfect circle as though someone had placed a fire there. Except there had been no fire. The soil inside the circle was black, cracked, and still warm to the touch. That night, I heard scratching. Long, deliberate scratches against the back door. Milo barked furiously, his body pressed low against the ground, tail tucked between his legs. I didn't have the courage to open the door, but when I finally gathered the nerve to peek through the curtain, I saw marks on the wooden frame. Deep gouges, as if made by claws. The next morning, there were footprints in the dirt. Not animal footprints, not human ones either. They were elongated, with sharp, pointed toes that dug deep into the ground. They led from the tree line straight to my back door, and then vanished. The dreams. Soon, the creature began invading my dreams. I dreamt of standing in the backyard under a blood-red sky. The trees swayed violently, though there was no wind. In the center of the burnt circle, the creature waited for me. Its face was clearer in the dream, pale, stretched, with skin clinging tightly to its skull. It smiled at me, and its teeth were jagged, broken, yet sharper than any blade. "It belongs to me," it whispered. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, my throat dry, my hands trembling. The worst part was that the dreams felt more like memories, as if what I experienced there wasn't just inside my mind. And the line between dream and reality began to blur. Sometimes I'd wake up with soil on my feet. Once I woke up standing by the back door, my hand resting on the handle as though I had been sleepwalking, ready to step outside. The neighbor's warning. One evening, my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, called me over. She had lived in the neighborhood for decades and rarely spoke to anyone. "You've seen it, haven't you?" she asked suddenly, her voice trembling. I froze. "What do you mean?" "That thing in your backyard." The air seemed to vanish from my lungs. "You know about it?" She nodded slowly. "It's been here long before these houses were built. My husband saw it too. He used to say the land was cursed. He didn't last long after that." Her eyes grew moist. "It doesn't just watch, it waits. And once it chooses someone, it doesn't stop." Her words stayed with me. That night, I locked every door, every window. I left the lights on. But around 3 a.m., the power cut out. And then I heard breathing outside my bedroom window. Escalation. Over the following days, things spiraled. Objects in my house moved on their own. My photographs fell off the walls. My reflection in the mirror sometimes lagged behind, smiling when I wasn't. At night, whispers filled my ears, voices I didn't recognize, chanting in a language that made my bones ache. One evening, I recorded the backyard with my phone, leaving it on the windowsill overnight. The next morning, I played the video. At first, there was nothing, just darkness, silence. Then, at 2:47 a.m., the camera captured movement. The creature emerged from the tree line, crawling on all fours, its limbs bending the wrong way. It moved with a speed that didn't seem natural. It stopped in the center of the burnt circle, looked directly at me through the camera, and grinned. My phone died instantly after that frame. The final night. I don't know why I stayed as long as I did. Maybe I thought I could fight it. Maybe I was too afraid to leave, thinking it would follow me no matter where I went. That night, the whispers grew louder. The scratching at the door turned into pounding. Milo barked until he suddenly went silent, so silent it made my blood run cold. When I opened the back door, he was gone. All that remained were streaks of blood leading into the trees. And then I heard it. My name. Whispered softly, almost lovingly. I turned and there it was, standing in the burnt circle, taller than ever, its eyes blazing with hunger, its arms stretched out, beckoning. The ground beneath my feet trembled, the air grew thick, suffocating. I tried to run, but the backyard seemed endless, stretching further and further, the trees closing in. The whispers grew into screams, voices crying, laughing, cursing. My vision blurred, my legs gave out. The last thing I saw was its face, inches from mine, its teeth glistening in the dark. Epilogue. I don't remember much after that night. The police report said they found me unconscious in my backyard at dawn, lying inside the burnt circle. Milo was never found. My neighbors avoid me now, whispering about the screams they heard. But I know the truth. The demon isn't gone. It's still there, watching, waiting, and every night I hear it scratching, whispering my name, reminding me that my backyard no longer belongs to me. It belongs to him.